RSY rises to its highest 3-day pump levels in 3 weeks. The baby bears are back with a vengeance, proclaiming 10K and below is back on the table. And as expected, as Bitcoin retouches on the 200-day moving average, something massive just happened. As we receive a golden cross on the daily, a death cross on the weekly, it is truly the ultimate battle of the Moon Boys right now. But who will win the most epic showdown in baby bull history? Check this out. Right now, Bitcoin faces its biggest potential dump setup that we've seen since this run really began multiple weeks ago. And if we take a look at Bitcoin's chart here, guys, this is truly, if you would summarize this, it's not only the calm before the storm, but is the baby bull versus the baby bear, like we've never seen before. In fact, there are multiple things we're going to be talking about in this video that have literally never occurred before. So first of all, right now, Bitcoin is on the verge of, right now we're actually like getting a golden cross with the 200-day moving average climbing above the 50-day moving average right here. And now I'm sure many of you are aware of this, but the last time this happened, Bitcoin completely did erupt, and it did have some pretty nice upside potential here. And this is on the daily chart. But also, I'm sure many of you know as well, at this very second, we're getting, I believe, the very first 50-week going below the 200-week moving average for Bitcoin ever. I do not believe this has ever happened before, because if we go back in history, obviously you need multiple, many weeks for this to form. This goes all the way back to 2009. You need many weeks for this to be even possible, considering this 200-week doesn't even exist until we have at least 200 weeks of price action, right? You see the 50-week really came in about October of 2010, and we got very close to having the same cross back in November of 2015, but we didn't get it. We got very close right here. And then, we didn't even really get that close back in the 2018-2019 bear market, so we didn't even really get close. But now, we're getting our very first 50-week going below the 200-week moving average in history. And if you want a narrative to be mega bearish, and if you're like a perma bear and you want a very strong narrative for some dumpiness, this is the perfect thing to use. If we go back in history and we look at kind of the lowest points, however, where this has gotten the closest, it has already been after the biggest dumpiness, meaning by the time we've either gotten very close to these death crosses or have had these death crosses closer than ever historically, by the time we had that, the maximum dumpiness had already ended. And this is, again, it's like a lagging indicator, so that's why this is the case. But there's some hope there for you in case you're like super bearish on this. Again, I don't personally put a lot of weight onto the golden cross or death cross. I don't personally think that either of these indicators are some sort of massive tell-all pump or dump mega indicator, right? But if you are looking for a very bearish technical indicator that you want to put all your weight behind, then again, the only time this has ever happened is right now. So clearly that's like a very big narrative boosting instrument that you can use. Now, I personally think that this is cool just because we're seeing a very, like I just said, huge cross on the weekly time frame that we've never gotten before, at the same time as we're getting a huge golden cross on the daily chart. So truly it is a massive battle right here. You can see blue down on the weekly, blue up on the daily, and it's just a very exciting thing to look at. But more importantly here right now is Bitcoin right now breaking out of this potential rising wedge. We're going to take a look at something else in a second here, but as I've been saying for the last week, actually about 2 or 3 weeks, it looks like we might actually finally be getting it. I personally think now we finally will get that dump that I've been talking about. And as I was saying 2 or 3 weeks ago, potentially even going below 20K. And again, I think that's a very likely prospect. But again, I'm still not even convinced that we're going to go that low just yet. It's still very early in this move, but I do want to highlight that this is exactly the type of setup that we see right now, where it's one of those things, you look at the chart 1 minute and everything looks like it does right now. You go open up a Lunchable, potentially slurp down a couple Capri Suns. Next thing you know, you look at the chart and we've just dumped $2,000, $3,000 or something. This is one of those setups. Again, this is one of those moments. And so it's absolutely worth watching. As you can see, if we look on this other chart here, potentially is just the beginning or the bottom of this gigantic megaphone pattern here as well, or ascending, broadening wedgie right here. So, two things to be watching for. I personally think that we are going to see some increased volatility very soon, especially considering, as I've pointed out many times with these FOMC meetings, usually within a week and a half of these FOMC meetings, we have a big move. And we haven't had that big move just yet. So I personally anticipate we will see one. Will we get this pullback all the way down to 19,000 or something? A lot of people would get mega bearish if that happened, but it would be perfect consolidation alongside this relief rally, in my opinion. So that's something I'm watching for, as I'm sure many people are getting very bearish here. Again, if we look on this chart as we're testing this long-term channel here, right? We've tested these descending lines many times over the past 15 months or so. And if we, let's say something like this would happen, where right now we're holding on this, let's say we move down to the next leg, right around 20,000, going down to 19,000, depending on when it actually happens, because it's descending. So every day that goes by, it's lower. But if something like that would happen, it's absolutely within the realm of possibility, and it's more likely than anything, in my opinion, if we do get this pullback. Now, again, a lot of this hinges on the stock market, which today, the SPX is having a little bit of a downturn. If the SPX would actually come back and retest, even go below 4,000, imagine how bearish everyone would get. But let's say that did happen, then a week goes by, and then we're back above 4,200, 41, 4,200. That would be a very big switcheroo. That would be a gigantic reach around, and a lot of people would get faked out by that, I'm sure. But also we see here the DXY, again, this is a big reason for this. The DXY has had its strongest 3-day pumps of this entire dump so far. This is about a 3% pump, and the DXY hasn't gotten a pump that big since roughly about November of 2022, before we broke out of this parabolic uptrend, this trend here. Okay, so yeah, it's the strongest pump the DXY has gotten since we fell out of this long-term pattern. So that is absolutely another reason why the markets are reacting the way they are, and why they're moving the way they are. But yeah, we will see continued downside throughout this week if the DXY continues pumping, and if the stock market continues dumping here. Not to mention, Bitcoin did actually set I believe a short-term double top here, with really not being able to break the high set here of about that $23,000, $24,000, $25,000 range for Bitcoin's price. So that is something that you absolutely need to consider. You can see it here as well. This was this top right here, and right now we're kind of just right there. Now, we did bust through this one. We busted through this one. And we just have not yet been able to break above that last one. The next one is actually up about 32 to 33,000. So you can see why that's a big next level, considering 30,000 is probably going to be huge. And we haven't been above 30,000 since then, all the way back in May. So it's been it's not quite, but almost a year since we've been above 30,000. Think about that. And also 30,000 was multiple times the bottom of the bear market before the FTX, before we collapsed to 20,000 in about the middle of 2022, where everything really, really got pretty dumpy there. So it's not going to be easy, in my opinion, climbing up there. But I think that prolonged consolidation here for at least the next week and a half, 2 weeks even, is very likely. But yeah, I think what we're probably going to be doing now over the next 1 to 2 weeks is having it potentially, okay, and it's something we've been talking about. It just seems now it's finally telling us, okay, it's actually going to happen, this sort of retest. And that's going to be big. Absolutely, this could be a very healthy retest into this continued relief here, multi-week, multi-month relief. But yeah, it finally looks like we are going to have that chance there. Our most recent resistance was right around 21,000. So at the very least, I think that if we get this pullback, that's the very least we could go. But as I've been saying for the past 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I think that it's very likely that breaking 20K is in the cards, going below that, right, in this retest, because a lot of people are probably putting all their weight, all their stop losses around 20K, stuff like that, and the market loves to shake people like that out. But overall, evening out around 20K or balancing out around 20K and holding there, I think is the most likely scenario if we do get this pullback. Now, again, it's not even guaranteed that we're going to get it yet. We need to watch the stock market, and we need to see if the DXY actually is able to break above this range. And the DXY has been extremely weak over the past couple of months. So it's about time that at least has some momentum to try to break some of these key levels. Is it able to break here? Right now, it's actually not able to at this very second. This is where it's stopped so far. So is it going to be able to break this range and climb above 105? That'll be big. And if it cannot climb above 105, then the chances of Bitcoin in the stock market dumping grows even smaller. So the DXY needs to do that first for Bitcoin to be able to continue dumping here. So you guys, channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications to absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Take advantage of massive bonuses with BITGET and BitGet below. 0 trading fees when you sign up with my links to BITGET and BitGet below, and specifically with BITGET, massive sign-up bonuses as well, deposit bonuses, but also you just get a free $30 simply by putting in an email and creating a password, and that's it. No KYC required for BITGET or BitGet also. Without any further ado, that's for me.